success. Unexpectedly, money falls into my lap. I receive money by thinking luxuriously. I am building unlimited streams of income. I am always grateful for my unlimited sources of income.
Oh, I thought you.
Or I think. All right, what's up, everybody? Trying to walk away from here. Demont real quick. We're in the same apartment right now. So basically, I want to introduce Demont. We have a pretty dope show or class today that's going to be about nonprofits and things of that nature. So I'm going to load up, get Demont on here. Hopefully everybody got notes, got paper, pen, pencil, so we can take notes and see and get this good game. So Demont, you ready to get in?
Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate it. So everybody that just to introduce, Jonathan Lewis is my new co-host for Wealth Church. So we are up in the production on Wealth Church so that we can start sharing more information and start giving everybody a larger platform to learn, not just crypto or not just transferring money, but how to build wealth. If our name is Wealth, the Wealth Transfer or the Wealthy Team or Wealth Nation or whatever team you're a part of, I think that you should get all the information. And Jonathan was supposed to go over this, but I wanted him to go over wealthy people and the benefits that wealthy people had as far as nonprofits and foundations. What did you come up with, Jay?
So basically I have, just a couple of points on why a lot of wealthy people use nonprofits. I was actually just approached recently, somebody trying to get me to start a nonprofit for my business, and probably going to go ahead and do it because it just makes a lot of sense. But one reason is the tax benefits. I know we're going to go into more detail on that in a second. Access to grants. That was the main reason why a lawyer approached me about it, because of specific companies that are giving grants to nonprofits right now. Really good PR. A lot of people are going to find out about your business, and it's like really positive. Giving back, obviously, some people actually are trying to give back and make an impact on other people's lives, and then leaving a legacy, being able to do something that, will impact people's lives in a good way other than just making money and, being transactional. A lot of our favorite celebrities all have nonprofit foundations, like Beyonce has Be Good, Bono has One Campaign, Pharrell has something called From One Hand to Another, Lady Gaga, George Lucas, who made Star Wars, Jennifer Lopez, and the list goes on. So all these people understand the benefits. I'm sure they're all doing things that are great in their communities for the people that they're targeting, but there's also a lot of financial benefits for you to, keep your wealth and things of that nature. So that's what I got.
Before I introduce our speaker, our facilitator for the day, which is someone that I've trusted to set up my nonprofits. I want her to share information with our team on how to set up a nonprofit. But I want to tell you that I studied millionaire before I became successful, or the level of success that I'm at. I studied millionaires, and just like Jonathan just said, I studied that one of the things that most of them had in common was they were givers, they were philanthropists, they had foundations, they had they had nonprofits. So just like Jonathan said, I think that if we're trying to build ownership, and if we're trying to start building the foundation of investing and going to the next level and starting businesses and all and in real estate and all those different things, we need to understand that duplication is how we get there. You got to study people that are successful, and you have to duplicate what they've done. I know we come from a culture where we don't like to copy, but a lot of times copying and duplicating is what helps people to get to the next level, especially when you start talking about building wealth. How do we build wealth? We can't say, a lot of us give, we give to people at work, we give to our community, we give to people in our neighborhood, but it's not set up. And a lot of you are educating. I know that Cheryl has said last week, she was like, I want to educate kids in the community, and I want to give back. That's a nonprofit organization. She can get funding, and which Whitney will talk about. She can get grants. Anything dealing with education is a nonprofit organization. Over time, you can build it, and even build business credit, because a nonprofit is a business. So you can get grants, you can get funding, you can get credit, you can get all types of things. So we got to make sure that we're duplicating, and we're understanding that giving back is part of creating wealth. Those of you that believe in the good book, it says if you give, the measure that you give is the measure that you get back. So we have to start putting together a platform to where we're able to now give, educate, give back, all those types of things. And I know many of you have organizations in you. Some of you have dealt with domestic violence. You've dealt with a lot of different things, which some of you have shared. But I just want to make sure that we're building the foundation solid, and we're not just doing things the way that we've been doing it. All right. So Whitney, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to do this masterclass for my wealthpreneurs. I want to thank you. I know that you've helped a lot of people. You have a huge, extensive background with grants, and I would like for you, when you start out, to go and tell a little bit about your story, because you told me the other day about how you started and what prompted you to even want to do this. And I think that some people that are watching will be able to connect with your story. So you have the floor. Go ahead. It's your class.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So my name is Whitney Fagan. I am a grant writer. I am a nonprofit consultant. So I write grants. I set up nonprofits. I am a nonprofit consultant. So basically, I start your nonprofit, but I also, after you get your approval for your nonprofit, you're going to come back to me, and I'm going to coach you to success so that you'll be successful with your nonprofit. So that's like the strategic planning, the funding, everything you need. So I've been doing that for about maybe 10 years. What actually got me started in the nonprofit was, my daughter is 12. So when she was about 1.5 or 2, went through like a really bad relationship. And I live in Indiana, just dealing with some stuff with like my family. And wasn't really like, I was in a relationship and I wasn't happy in the relationship, but my family was probably like, we're tired of helping you because you ain't leaving. So we ain't gonna keep helping you. So I never left. Me and my daughter ended up staying at a homeless shelter called Day Spring Shelter. I was like, what is this? You know, or we have to pay or what? No, they never made me pay. So they, explained us the process. So the idea was, you stay here for 90 days, you get on your feet in the 90 days. After that, that's it. So, they helped me with like looking for a job, looking for an apartment, looking for somewhere to go. So within that 90 days, they feel like after 90 days, you can do anything. After that, I didn't look back. So I had already, like in college, I, took up like some writing, and I've always been a strong writer. So I took some grant writing, but I never really took it serious. After that, I just like wanted to give back, and I contacted them one day, and I'm like, is there anything I can do to help you guys? Like, oh, you guys donate, you can come and feed the homeless, do anything that you would like to do. So I just kind of, it kind of stuck with me, the whole, giving back to the needy. So that's just something that I've been doing since. So since then, I've, set up nonprofits, written grants, coached nonprofits to be successful with things that they are needing to be successful with. So if they're needing help with funding, creating looking for board members, whatever they need help with, that's just been something that I've done, and I still do. So I have a Facebook group, and I give like daily tips and educate them on things that they could be doing to be successful with their small businesses or their nonprofits. And so people, book me for like engagement so that they can kind of figure out if nonprofit is the way that they want to go. Yeah. So I have do you want me to go into my presentation, Demont?
Yeah, I want you to go ahead and go through your presentation of how to start a nonprofit, and then go into whatever information you want to give. And then at the end, then we'll open it up for questions to see if anybody has any questions for you. And then if anyone wants your help to get theirs, I know I needed your help. Yeah, I needed your help and still need your help. So she's my go-to for this category. So I think that she'll be able to share her information at the end. If you have any questions, please wait till the end. Please make sure that your phones are on mute. Thanks everybody.
Okay, can y'all see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm making sure. Okay, so I'll go through this. I won't take long. So a nonprofit organization is also known as a nonprofit business entity. It's a nonprofit institution. It's an organization traditionally dedicated to furthering a particular.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you trying to share your screen? Because if so, we can't.
Yeah, you can't see it.
No.
Okay, sorry. I thought I could see it. Let me see. Oops. Sorry, y'all.
No, it's okay.
Can y'all see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, guys. I can see it. Okay. So a nonprofit is a nonprofit organization, also known as a nonprofit business entity, non-for-profit organization, or nonprofit institution. Is an organization traditionally dedicated to furthering a particular social cause or advocating a shared point of view. Just the same thing. So it's primarily, it's a nonprofit organization, not operating primarily to make profit. Instead, it's an organization whose mission focuses on furthering a social cause or a shared goal or mission. People use the term nonprofit to describe all the different types of nonprofit organizations. So there's 3 dozen different types of nonprofits that the Congress has actually created. So some well-known nonprofits that you probably have heard of are like the United Way, Salvation Army, the NAACP, the Committee for Missing Children, the Goodwill, there's a lot of them. St. Jude, Children's Research Hospital, Humane Society. This is like just a few that you probably hear. So these are a few different types of nonprofits. So a 50C1 is any corporation that's organized under an act of Congress that is exempt from federal income tax. A 501c2, that's just a corporation that holds a title of property for exempt organization. The most common one that you see is a 501c3. So those are corporations with funds or foundations that operate for religious, charitable, literary, or educational purposes. So those are like your church, not your church, those are like churches, those are like your daycares, those are like if you're food pantry. So a lot of people get 501c3s because they want to do something like giving back in the community, whether it's a group home or something like that. So these are just a few different types of nonprofits that are in the U.S. So what's the difference between public charities and foundations? So the 501c3 organizations are divided into 2 main categories: public charities and private foundations. Public charities are 501c3 organizations that get their support from general public and like the government. So donations are made from like public charities and they're tax deductible. So those are like the donations that you see where you're like, oh, we're 501c3. You can make a donation now, click this link. Or if you're saying, I'm a nonprofit, click my link now to donate to my, donate to my cause. If I have an organization and I was advocating for teen moms, and they were living in a home, if I had a transitional home and I was supporting teen moms and I, had a home, people would donate to me. Private foundations, they mainly are distribute money via grants to fulfill a public purpose. So contributions to private foundations are normally tax deductible. So private foundations are also like, they're not able to engage in like direct lobbying activities. So it's kind of different with like the private foundations, but like I said, the most common would be like the 501c3s. So a lot of private foundations, you have to be invited to apply for like those type of grants as well. How many nonprofits are in the US? So this information actually was from last year. As of last year, there was more than 1.5 million nonprofit organizations that are registered in the United States. The 1.5 million include public charities, private foundations, and the other types of nonprofits. So that includes like the chambers of commerce, fraternal organizations, civic leagues, things like that. So, and they always say over like 25% of adults volunteer some type of way for a nonprofit in their lifetime. And so they say also 11.4 million people in the United States work for a nonprofit. Some people work for the nonprofits for different reasons. I mean, just because they like their jobs, others because of, some people say they give them some type of student loan relief, different things. But some people actually, there's a great benefits when working for nonprofits. If you work, I want to say it used to be like 5 years or 7 years, you get a benefit for working for a nonprofit organization. So when you're starting a nonprofit, this is like the checklist that you want to do. You kind of first want to research like what nonprofit you want, what kind of nonprofit you want to do, basically like what you would want it to be about, who is it involving, where you want it to be, who do you feel like you're serving. You want to make your business plan, but you can make the business plan while it's going. I always tell people that it's not something that you have to have like today, but it's something that you could be working on while your nonprofit is getting work for. You're going to register your nonprofit, but most of the time when you hire someone to do your 501c3, they do all of that. So they do your paperwork for your nonprofit, they file for your EIN, they file for your status, and they help you with the phrasing plan, and they do the work, and you just stay in compliance. So most of the time, I tell people, when you think about a nonprofit, you want to think about getting grant money. Everybody loves grants. Grants are such a big deal. So right now, if you're going to get grants, the main thing I tell people, you can get grants for anything that's raising awareness, providing jobs, and that's showing need. So if you feel like your nonprofit is going to be raising some type of awareness, it's going to be providing jobs, providing some type of service, showing need, some type of need, you can get a grant for it. So the most common types of grants right now that they have out, I'll go over that later, but that's like the biggest thing. So if you think back to what I just said, you could definitely start a nonprofit. So if there's like a big need right now for teen moms or the homeless, or like there's that was my phone. There's somebody that's teaching consultations on different things. There's like a guy that I know, he's in Maryland, he's teaching kids twice a week after school about financial literacy. I mean, if you're showing the need for something like that, you can get grant money for things like that. So, in your business plan, this is just something to go over. I'm not gonna like really stick on it. You wanna get in your nonprofit, you have to have board members that can actually be able to, help you. You don't own your nonprofit, your board does. So you want to be able to attract board members. So if you want to attract board members for starting capital or potential support, you just make sure you have a clear idea of what you're trying to do and how you want to do it. You want to give your community or whoever, you're pitching your ideas to clear reasons of why they should volunteer, why they should donate to your cause. Basically, like, why am I giving you money? What are you giving me? What is this going to do for me? If you are providing a food pantry, if you're providing transitional housing. So transitional housing is one of the biggest things right now, because if you're able to do housing for disabled veterans, if you're able to do housing for teens 18 coming out of foster care, if you're able to provide housing for women and children in a domestic violence battered relationships, things like that. If you're able to do these things, I have a client right now in Houston. Every month she's getting $18,000 for housing a 3-bedroom home. I live in Indianapolis. I have a client, she's getting about $13,000 for housing veterans, 3 or 4 veterans, for a home that she purchased on a tax sale with her nonprofit. She's a tax exempt, so she didn't pay any property taxes for this house. She has someone she's paying $14, 2 people, and these people are staying for 90 days. They're on the bus line, so it's something. It's showing a need. She contracted with the state, and they're going to their appointments, doing what they need to do. Yeah, so that's a need. We need to get these homeless people off the street. So yeah. This is just stuff to include in in your business plan, your summary, the mission and values, your programs and services and impact. So what programs or services are you going to offer? Who are going to be the beneficiaries? How many people are going to be there? What impact are you going to make? What timeline do you have? What kind of programming are you going to offer? How many people will be measured off the impact? Just little things like that. Your marketing plan. Marketing is so big in your nonprofit, because if you're not marketing your nonprofit, like once it gets started and it gets going, when you're trying to go after grants, they're gonna look at you. They don't say this, but I've sat on a few boards to actually review grants. They will look and say, okay, hey, who is Purpose Foundation Incorporated? I've never heard of them. They're gonna look at your Instagram. They're gonna look at your website. So they're going to see, like, what are you actually doing to market your nonprofit? So do you have mailers? I mean, what do you have? So you want to develop a way to get your name out there so that people kind of know what you're doing. How would you get the word out about what you're doing for your nonprofit? Like, what are you doing to help people? What channels will you use? Were you going to use social media only? We have a website and social media. Will you have a donation tab? Because when you apply for grants, they're going to say, do you accept donations too? So you can say no. They'll say, well, why not? Are you fundraising? So, just things like that. Financial planning. What's your financial status? What income is confirmed? If you're a new nonprofit, even if you're a startup, you just want to show what expenses that you're going to have, receipts and reports that you have. That's it. If you don't have anything, if you're just starting, that's okay. You can still apply for grants, but you just need to make sure that that's what you are able to show. What income do you expect? How much money do you need to start? What do you need to operate? So basically, what do you need to have in order to be successful? Operational plan. What does your day-to-day operations look like? Will you have a staff or active volunteers? What were their roles like? So some people have nonprofits and they're home-based. I have a lot of clients who are home-based nonprofits. They're just active in the community, and that's okay. I have other clients who have office space because they collect different things. They might collect coats or clothing for the homeless. They might do different things. So they have small office space, or they might operate out of schools, or they might operate anywhere. But a lot of people are home-based, and that's okay. Some people have to have different licenses and permits because they are in certain spaces. It really just depends on where you are. Again, the business plan is not the deal breaker with a nonprofit. I can say about 80% of the people who start their nonprofits with me, they don't always have the business plan, but they end up making one eventually, just to help them stay accountable, like to know what they're working on, what they need to work on, like what their focus is and what they're focusing on. So when you're picking your board members for your nonprofit, you have to have board members, because board members are so important, because they want your board members. They're the people who are going to be dealing with, you know, important information with your nonprofit. So these are going to be people who are, you know, interacting with your finances. These are going to be people who are interacting with, you know, your nonprofit. So you want to bring people onto your board who are basically, who have different types of skills. I have some people who may have, you know, got a nonprofit set up by someone else, and I'll say, oh, when I'm writing their grant, some grants will say, okay, so Thomas is on your board. What does Thomas do? I'll say, oh, I don't know, nothing. He doesn't like the computer. Like, so you need to tell me what each person does. Some people just try to give you bodies. That's not okay. You want to give somebody that's of value. So me, if I pick my board, I count as a board member. But if I pick 2 additional people, I would always say, oh, I'm using, I have a friend, her name is Tanisha. She's a tax expert. She's good with money and numbers. I would use her because she's strong with numbers. I would use, if I had another person I would have to pick, I would pick a friend of mine, her name is Alex, because she writes grants, but she's really a critical thinker, so she's really smart. Someone that I know that I can count on. But she works in school, so she's like an advocate. Somebody just different. These people don't have to, you know, have college degrees or anything like that. But if someone was to ever ask you, like, what does this person do? Or what kind of person is this person? You can kind of tell them, oh, she's, you know, she's an artist, and we're teaching these kids art education or art history. Like, this is a good person to deal with. So you want to make sure that people are passionate about the mission, that they actually care about what you're doing, that they aren't just, you know, somebody that can donate to what you're trying to do. They actually can attend events, they can help in some type of way. I have so many people that have board members that you never hear or see at anything. So whether it's events that are on TV, and I've had several organizations have like Christmas events, Thanksgiving events on televised, and it's always the same 2, 3, or 4 people, and then there's always a few people missing. You never see them, but you hear about them donating. So some people that you know that they can actually come and be, you know, present, come from, like I said, diverse backgrounds, and they'll actually sometimes make up an odd number, but that's not always important. Like if you have to vote about something, or if it's like something that you feel like you guys can't come up with a decision on, the person can vote. You don't want too many family members, and you don't want a lot of business partners for your board members. And you don't want, like I said, board members who are low on time. Basically, they can't give you any time. They can't meet for a monthly Zoom. And you don't want someone who's on several boards. I say that because I have people who tell me, oh, my friend is on this board, this board, this board. She's on my board too. The person, you know, might be okay sometime for time, but other times they might be kind of pressed for time because they're helping the other people. But it's kind of like when you need them for your events, they're not able to assist. So you just want to make sure that the person is, you know, able to be all hands on deck. Most people with nonprofits, I feel like they meet when they're just in the beginning, they kind of meet every other month. But when they're really like going after money, things like that, some of them are in group text. They always tell me they're group texting or they're chain message, whatever, daily. Some of them meet every few weeks on a Zoom. Everybody's different, but you just don't want someone that's like, I'm not available, I can't talk. That's just the big thing with me. But I feel like when you do things like nonprofits and you pick people, you should know. But I would never say pick a stranger. Excuse me. I've had people ask me, can you be on my board? And it's like people that I've never met. But these are people that are like, oh, we know she writes grants and she knows nonprofits. So I think that they're trying to figure it out. But I always tell people too, if someone asks you to be on their board, don't always just jump to agree, because it is a big responsibility. And you don't want to just agree to be on someone's board and you're on paperwork with them and it's not what you look at it. So board versus staff roles and responsibility. So when you have so with your nonprofit, you can get paid. A lot of people say you can't get paid with a nonprofit. Yes, you can. You can pay yourself. You just need to give yourself a board, a role as a staff member. So you can be on the board, of course. You're the director. You started the nonprofit, but you need to be a staff member as well. So, and that's a way to go through that. And everybody has different like regulations and rules with like the state that they live in. And like I said, it's a way to work through that. But once you start a nonprofit and you work with your accountants and things like that, you'll go through that. But I always tell people, just make sure that you're able to just go through the motions, because some people have staff and they're just staff. They're not on your board. They're just working for the nonprofit. So if you have a youth program and these people are just working with the kids, but they're not on the board, let them know so that they know like what's expected. They're not to be doing anything. Board member roles, are like the president, the secretary, the treasurer, things like that. One thing to remember is that no matter what, the board does hold legal responsibility. So the board members are legally liable. The staff is not liable. The staff is just staff. So the staff is like, if I'm a camp counselor and it's time for me to go, I'm gone. If I'm the secretary, I'm responsible. The board oversees the administration, the legality, and the finances of the organization. So that's when you go to voting, that's when you go to spending money, talking about different things within the nonprofit. Keep in mind that the board must make sure that the organization is in good legal standing when it comes to like the registration and legal documentation, and just to ensure that the organization is in good financial standing. So that's just like the reviews, the reports, and all that. Just make sure that when you have board members, that you're aware of the legal responsibilities and everything that's going on, because that's a big deal. Financially, how do you prepare for your nonprofit? You want to, come up with a fundraising plan, reflect on the past year, so the good and the bad, of course, and then you want to think about, you can do like an intake on your current resources. So I say, like, if some people say, if I started a nonprofit, would I be able to afford this? I tell people, I wouldn't always necessarily think that way. I just say, you start it, and then you're thinking about what I need to pay for. What am I going to need to do? If I'm going to be able to be in a building, do I need to be in a building to start this nonprofit? If I'm going to be doing a youth program and I'm going to be doing something like where I have to be in a building physically, am I going to be able to afford this on my own until I'm able to get funding, or what? So that's the first thing I always tell people to do. Make sure that you are able to do just that. So I say the past year, good and bad, because some people are working, they're not working, they really can't do it. I always tell people set goals and assess the program, the costs, because that's everything when you're trying to do a nonprofit. And then I just say, really just get started. Can I make money if I start a nonprofit? Who can legally get paid? Pay members, officers, and directors. Okay, so profits may accrue to members, officers, and directors who earn them through salaries or expense reimbursement. So you can pay independent contractors as well. Profits accrue to independent contractors at the rate reasonable pay for services rendered. So a lot of organizations, like I have a school that I actually work with. They're not a school. They're considered a school, I guess. And they have as a charter school, they have over 350 students. They actually had figured out ways to take how they were going to pay the contractors who came in and did different things. They voted on it. If they feel like it's too high, they'll make another vote. And then there's people who make regular salary, but I have people who are making like $50,000 to $55,000 working in these schools. Those grassroots campaigns, it is typically encouraged for a nonprofit to build strong grassroots campaigns. That's just another way, just to make sure that you're able, to get paid. So a myth, I always put myth versus facts in a lot of my classes because there's like so many different myths, like, oh, you're never gonna get paid. The term nonprofit is not always true. Nonprofits make a profit, and they should always try to make some level of positive revenue to build a reserve fund to ensure sustainability. So the key difference between a nonprofit and for-profit is that a nonprofit organization cannot distribute its profits to any private individual. Although nonprofits may pay reasonable compensation to those providing services, it's, it's a way that you're able to pay people. So like if you're paying somebody, you have to show them like how you're getting paid through like the 1099. If you're paying anybody over a certain amount, you have to pay them that way. Funding a nonprofit. So funding for a nonprofit, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to get a nonprofit because I can't pay for it. It's so expensive. It's too much responsibility. So grants are dispersed from the government or foundations to help nonprofit organizations reach their goals. Often grants are restricted to certain sectors, locations, or type of programming. Most nonprofits, you can research grants for the appropriate organization and apply, but grant applications usually are long. Some of them aren't as long. So in my iPad, I'm looking, hold on. Right now, the most money that you find grants for are nonprofit. I was actually on a call the other day for the SBA. There's still like billions of dollars of SBA funding available. And they are saying that there's so much money for like nonprofits right now. It's crazy. The main type of grants available right now that they're providing grants for are transportation services, real estate, health, mental health, consulting, medical, legal, and any service able to grow the community, it's a grant available. So again, the biggest grants paying right now are transportation grants, real estate, health, mental health, consulting, medical, legal, and any services that are able to grow a community, there's grants available. So when you want to apply for a grant, whether it's a small business grant or a nonprofit, you always want to make sure that you have an EIN, a bank account, of course, for your business, a business entity, licenses if you need licenses for the business, a simple website, even if it's like a scrolling page. So I know my website, I think, is a scrolling page because I don't need all those tabs and fancy. A professional email, the DUNS number, and your financial statements. So the financial statements, even if you're a startup, so you can show the expenses and the receipts. Expenses, receipts, and reports. But anybody that's writing your grants, they'll be able to tell you that, like, this is what you need to be able to get grants. So that's the biggest thing right now. Nonprofits have the most grant opportunities available. Nonprofits can apply for grants from the government at local, state, and federal levels, as well as private and public foundations. But you're not really required to pay any of the money that you get through the grants. In almost every country in the world, in order to be awarded a grant for your organization, you need to have a charitable or nonprofit status. So I always tell people, like, most of the time, if they're asking you, oh, pay $6.99 to apply for this grant, don't apply for it. It's a scam. No one's ever going to ask you to pay for something that you're trying to get some money from. There's so many people that flood my inbox and they're like, how much would I get for this? And I'm like, don't apply for that. That's the scam. And I hate the word scam, but you're not going to pay for something and you're trying to get some money. A lot of times I tell people, you don't always need a grant writer. Some of the grant applications, you can upload your approval from the IRS, and once you give them approval, like, hey, I'm a nonprofit organization, they may just ask you for a budget. Hey, this is my budget, and I'm showing my need. This is what I need money for. I need money for supplies. I need money for this. I need money for that. And then they'll, fund it. Some places you will need a grant writer, not always. So sometimes if I'm reviewing, me personally, if I'm reviewing a grant that you might send me, I'll say, oh no, you don't need me. You can do this yourself. And I might guide it. I do grant auditing as well. So I'll audit you and say, oh, well, you could do this. You don't need me. So always just be, reasonable and look at what you're doing. So here are some types of the main types of grant giving. Again, government grants, public charities, community foundations, and like a lot of these places, like they're in your city. So in Indiana, there's like different types of community foundations that you find. So when you're looking for local grants, you would look at the foundations like too that are in your local jurisdiction, like state grants. Those are really good. Those are the first ones that I would always look at, especially if you're providing some type of service to the community. As your nonprofit grows, you'll find it worthwhile to hire someone to research, and write and pursue your grants. So, like, not always, you don't need to. And a lot of people, they make up to 72% of charitable donations to grants. So some of them are big, small, all amounts add up. A lot of people do like the online giving. So I have clients who've been in nonprofit approval for like the last 3 months, and they have a simple scrolling page. They have a donate now tab. So you're donating, you're building up money on your page, and it's going into your account for you to give back. Monthly giving. So some people do a thing where you reach out. And so when I do like the coaching with my clients for nonprofits, I might say, hey, tell them about what you're doing and who you're coaching, what your purpose is, what you're doing, and try to get them to say, hey, is there any way that you want to just do $100 a month or $50 a month? You can write this off at the end of the year. I'll send you a form, write it off on your taxes, and people sign up. And a lot of times there's a way that you can set it up to automatically run out of their bank account. That way it gives your organization I got money coming from this person every month. I got 10 people that signed up to give me $100 a month. So yeah, that's just showing you that you have a steady income coming in. And if you have people working on your board and everybody has 10 people that are giving $100 a month, that money will add up. Monthly donors also have a higher retention rate than giving, more money. So that's always a good thing when you have reliable people that are giving, monthly donations. I probably have maybe like 3 or 4 people that I give to monthly, and I can't even say who they are. 2 people I can't say, but yeah, monthly it just comes out of my account. I know that. And then they send me something at the beginning of the year, like, thank you for your donation. Here's my tax ID. Thank you. And then they might ask me next year, do I want to start it over? They ask you every year to start it over. They don't just start it over without your permission. So then you can do like the peer-to-peer fundraising, and that's just where you're just, starting fundraising pages where, hey, link in my bio, make a donation, and, you're bringing awareness to your nonprofit. This is just talking about like major donors who are, giving donations of a certain amount. And this is just a myth. Most nonprofits are large and have many resources. So it really doesn't matter what size your nonprofit is. A lot of nonprofits start off small, and that's okay, because you can start off small and then that's like your mindset. You can start off small and then you never know. You'll be big in 4 months, 6 months. Most nonprofits are very small in both in budget size and in the numbers of employees, while they're very well known. Like the Red Cross, they have a big visibility. Those nonprofits are not representatives of the charitable nonprofit community. 92% of all reporting charities have an annual revenue of under $1 million. But it's just like, just because they're, you know, them, yeah, you don't have to be a big nonprofit with major resources. There's just so many places that you can get different, yeah. 501c3. So this is like the size chart for nonprofits. So, and this is excluding private foundations. So 55% had no expenses reported. Some had 100K to 250K. So this is just showing you like the number of, yeah, the size, nonprofit by size. Okay, so this is just a thing I was just talking about, like with the fundraising. So when you have a nonprofit and you have like, people have like galas and all kind of different things just to, you know, bring visibility to the nonprofit. So I've seen people say they've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars during COVID for their nonprofits, doing like dance-a-thons in the house, doing charity steps, like doing the step challenges and all this stuff. Different things, you know, even when the world was open before COVID, auctions, different things, bake sales, charity events, you name it, people are doing it to raise awareness. You're engaging with people and they're, you know, donating money, but you're fundraising too. So, you know, I've been to black tie events. It was a good time, but at the same time, we were, you know, there for a good cause. Membership fees. So this is just again about the membership fees. Marketing your nonprofit. So with marketing in your nonprofit, it's just really important to market with your nonprofit. It helps spread your message and your mission, and it helps you bring in new donors and your revenue. It also helps you showcase like your success of your nonprofit, like what you're doing, what you've done, what you're trying to do. It helps you get on like the news. So, oh, these people are doing this, or this lady, she's collecting. I have a client, she's the Indie Community Pantry. She started using old newspaper boxes and filling them up with food. And people were, you know, they go out and fill these mailboxes up. Now she has refrigerators plugged up in different places. And there people are going and stocking these refrigerators. And it's like a big deal. She was on the news 3 days last week, 3 different news stations last week. It went like viral. 660 something people shared this thing, but they've been filling these boxes up since the summer. Oh my God, you know, she's filling up old newspaper boxes and she spray painted them, and it was like a big deal. It's a big deal. It still is, because there's so many people that are hungry. And you know, alerts the public to important events and news. So even if you make like a Facebook page and it's what your nonprofit's name on it, it brings in new donors and revenue, because then she said people are starting to ask her, like, what can we do to help? What can we do for you? Can we donate to you? She's getting food donations from grocery stores, from second helpings. I mean, just all kind of different places. They want to help her too. And it also gives you the opportunity to create strong relationships with other nonprofits or other small businesses and government agencies. So I tell people, social media, hashtags, all that, like, just market the nonprofit, because it's going to bring you so many different like blessings. I used to never really too much care about marketing, and I'm saying that just to be honest. I used to like have a Facebook page and I would promote it. But once I actually started marketing my business, I was like, oh wow, okay. People are like, oh, you're the writing girl. I'm like, yeah. So the benefits of being a nonprofit, this is probably what everybody like really loves to hear about. When you're a nonprofit, you're exempt from like federal taxes and state or corporate taxes. So like example, a lot of state have like state tax sales for like real estate. Normally in the state that I'm in, it's in the fall, like October, November. They moved it to March because of COVID. That's everybody's story right now. So when you're a nonprofit in all these different states, you get first dibs with the auction. So you get to go to these real estate auctions first, and you get to pick the properties before everybody comes with their bidding license, before everybody comes with to make a bid on the property. You're physically able to physically go and I'm looking for this link. I just sent it to somebody. You're able to physically go and like talk to people, and they'll say, oh, you don't need to buy the bidder's license, it's $1,000. So all these churches, all these people are going and buying these properties for $3,000 and, you know, turning it into whatever they need to turn it into. So they don't pay taxes. They're just paying for the property. So you're possibly exempt from state sales tax, like I just said. Most of the time you are. They'll just ask you for proof. So then you're getting proof of, you know, what's going on. You're getting like proof, like tax exempt. So example, I have real estate clients who have homes, and they have homes that they're flipping so they can get grants for economic development, you know, providing economic awareness, development grants. So they go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Sam's Club, Walmart. They're not paying taxes in the things in the store. They're tax exempt. They just show this card with their EIN number, and they say, okay, or remove your taxes. So I have a client, he just did it the other day. He said, oh, my tax was $5,000. Now it's $3,000. And he was just tickled. And I'm like, duh. So Wayfair, where you buy all the furniture, I have a client furnishing his Airbnb, but he used it, you know, he utilized his nonprofit information, and he bought all his furniture off of Wayfair for his nonprofit. He was tax exempt. Sorry, it's like so many stores. I have people that call me, and they're like, I have someone that's homeless. There's hotels that help house people. If you're saying I'm a nonprofit and I'm trying to house someone, she needs somewhere to stay for a few days, her and her kids, this hotel will house these people for a few days on your behalf, not charging you or anything. So it's a lot of different benefits. Just the recognition, you get discounts with like the post office. I mean, it's all kinds of different benefits with like I said, with the grants. There's more grant opportunities for nonprofits more than anybody else. Best Buy, I forgot Best Buy. So somebody was talking about phones the other day, and they're like, oh, I got a phone for this much. And I was like, I need a nonprofit. So I always tell people, just set SMART goals for your nonprofit, just measurable goals. Just make sure that if you're going to set up a nonprofit, that you know how you want to do it. A lot of people always say, I want to start a nonprofit, but I didn't know where to start. I just want to set it up. Can you help me? Just tell me what to do. They have a nonprofit already in their head 99% of the time. They just don't know how to execute it. So your goals should just make sense. You're going to take donations, or how you're going to make money. You're going to get grants. You're going to get people to sign up for like email blasts. How are you going to market it? Things like yearly goals you want to reach. Think about the number of people that you want to help. Think about the events that you want to have. Like that would be the exciting thing for me. Like how many people I can help, what type of events I can have that would be like fun to, engage with people that I like to see. Cause I'm a social person, but I also want to, like, I'm having a big party and all these people coming and dressing up and looking nice, but it's also giving to a good cause, something that I care about. Once you set the goals, you know, strategize with the team, people that you're working with that actually care on how you're going to actually reach the goals. That's just the biggest thing. And I have people that they say it takes them a second, it takes them a few months. Some people already know, they just never did it because they were scared. But it's like, it's a lot of money in nonprofits. I have a client in Texas, the one I was just telling you guys about. She was working for a company, and in April they had fired her. We had got her a grant in the month before, in March, like the beginning of March. We got her a grant for like $80,000, $85,000. And she said, what am I gonna do? I don't have a job. They laid me off. I don't know, I'm doing unemployment. I'm like, pay yourself, pay yourself. So she paid herself. She's paying herself for each month. Now she's working on her nonprofit full time. And she said, they invited me back to work, but I don't think I'm gonna go. I don't encourage anybody to ever quit their job. But I'm like, if you're making more money working your nonprofit than you are with your job, then I would work with that. Something that I actually feel like I want to do, something that I feel like is benefiting others, and I'm able to, you know, be like, she's her own boss, but she's doing something that's helping other people. Yeah. So that's the big thing with me. Like, again, social media, this is just me saying, website stuff. I'm just clicking through this because we were talking about it already. You know, when you put website, I just put Wix right here because I use Wix. If you don't always hire a website person, it's something simple. I use someone for my website, but you know, you can market your website like that. Put your information on there, how to reach you, something simple, what you guys have it going on, current events. And that's it. Oh yeah, email marketing. So that's a big thing too. So when you guys have certain stuff coming up, events or how they can donate to you, you want to do an email blast. I use like ConvertKit. I use my Wix email blast. So I'll send you an email and say, hey, I have this coming. I have a class coming up next week about budgeting, and you can sign up, and they get it. Oh, I got your email today. So yeah, you know, do yearly donations, just to keep up with it. And in marketing, like I said, showcase your results and be proud of what you're doing. You're helping people. And it's also a way that people are going to be like, dang, those people, they raised $1 million, or, you know. So the way to stay in compliance with your 501, I think this is my last slide, file the Form 990. And that's just how you stay in compliance with your nonprofit, because it's going to basically, the Form 990, it's going to basically, it's a form that you have to file with the IRS with like your financial information. So if you don't file it on time, you can lose your tax exempt status. A lot of people with nonprofits, they're like, I'm not good with my records. And I'm like, just keep the money that you're spending, the money that you're paying out, every fundraiser, donations. But some people, they aren't good with it, but some people are. So, I mean, everybody's different, but you'll learn over time to be good with it. In the beginning, you're not really probably doing a lot of traction, so it shouldn't be hard. But once you really start moving, you want to keep up with what you're doing. That's this really big thing. Just, you know, stay up with your board members. Like I said, at least have one every few months. Make sure that how you're compensating everybody and agreeing to how people are being compensated, and making sure that who you're paying can be paid. And make sure that you're adhering to your bylaws. And yes, that is it. I think I made that twice. I did. Know the laws in your state. Every state has different laws. Anybody who actually does your nonprofit, they always should tell you about it. So like, they'll ask you, are you going to do game nights or bingo? Most people say no, because you're not going to gamble. I have a lady who has a nonprofit. She's going to have a gambling night for like Thanksgiving weekend. She went and got a gaming license, but it's going to make her so much money. But it's for a nonprofit. She normally isn't that type of person, but she's like, this is going to be a big event. We haven't had anything in a while because of COVID. So she went and got a gaming license. Like, you have to just make sure that you're in compliance, know what you need to do. Yeah. And you just make sure that you renew Well, you have to with the state if they require you to. Some states don't make you renew anything. Others do. And why nonprofits fail. They only market to large donors, thinking that the small donors, aren't important. Poor accounting and money management, poor planning and record keeping, and then no plan of action. A nonprofit is like a business, and there has to be a clear plan to get funding and stay afloat. So in order to stay afloat, you just need to have a plan. So I have a lot of people that start, and then they'll call me and say, well, what do you think about this? And I'll say, well, what do you think? Well, who's helping you? So that's just the biggest thing. Make sure that you have a plan. And that's it for my slides. Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
so I want to thank you, Whitney, for taking the time out to meet with my team today. And
Anytime.
hopefully they learn something. I tell them all the time to turn the cameras on and to be interactive. So I'm about to open it up for questions. But I just want to thank you, because people don't have to, my grandmother used to tell me, people don't have to be nice. And although this is your business, like, you could have charged me to do this class, because you gave away a lot of good information. I even learned some things that I didn't know about Best Buy and Wayfair and Lowe's and all that. So I didn't know that. So I want to open the floor up for questions, but I first want to start with this quote. It's by Booker T. Washington. He said, "Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others." And I think it's very important that in planting seeds to build wealth, as I said earlier, that we create platforms where we can do for others. Like right now, my passion right now is doing something for inner city youth, for boys and girls, and for putting together a platform where we can start educating them so that they can change the narrative of their life, and they're not just a product of their community. So that's going to require a nonprofit. That's going to require a board. That's going to require additional meetings. That's going to require fundraisers. So, but that's my passion, is I want to be able to plant seeds into inner city youth by changing what they see. Like Jonathan has a company called JetQuest. So he creates experiences for African Americans so that now they're able to go out the country. Many of us didn't go out the country until we were adults. And some of my friends still have not been out of their county. So I think that I grew up with. But I think that
I was about to say,
well, some people in Marion County that haven't left.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, but for us to create an experience for kids and for adults that they're able to see the world from a different lens, I think is very important. So again, that means that we have to put together a platform where we're able to do that, and hopefully get resources and get support from other people where they're able to now write it off. Like Whitney said, like most companies give 70% of their funding to nonprofits because it's a write-off. So I'll open up for questions. Jonathan, you can go ahead.
And I will say this, I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay. Like I have a friend, she's actually my client, but two of my friends, she has but I have clients who do both. They have LLCs. Like when I hang up with you, I have to convert 3 LLCs into a nonprofit. So I have a friend, she has a school. Well, it's what is it called? She does this
I think
thing.
I know where you're going with this, and you taught me that you can have a for-profit and a nonprofit all in one.
She does this. So the girl, she does a study abroad. So she's take these kids to Spain, all this stuff. So she sent me this budget yesterday, and I made a post about the budget because I teach classes on like how to make the budget. I said, "Oh, girl, this was good." I laughed to myself because I said, where'd it go? Her budget was really good, but she said she needed, oh, here it goes. So she does Youth Global Perspectives. So basically she takes these kids on trips out the country. They've been to Spain, Aruba, they've been all these places. So she needs money for travel development, professional development, board development. So that's the money that they pay me to help develop the the nonprofit. She's writing that into her grants. She needs money for meals and entertainment, national travel, international travel, fundraising expenses, insurance, service charges and fees, accounting and bookkeeping, benefits, taxes and licenses. So she's writing all this into these grants. So she sent me the thing and I said, well, how much money do you need? She said, oh, like $115,000. I was like, oh, okay. So people like, they're doing all this, but she's been doing this for 3 years with her LLC and she's been making it. But now she's like, people keep saying, why you ain't took it to the nonprofit side? I'm like, they'll pay for that. It's educational. She tried to get a grant from somebody from like Washington University or something. And the man told her, I don't really think it's a big deal for international education, traveling abroad. Why is that a big deal to you? And I told her, you tell him like, the experience of being able to study abroad. Like, why do you feel like that's a big deal? And she said, he told her that he wouldn't be buying into that with the grant. So she was explaining to him why, like all the kids that graduate from her program, how they went on to these big colleges and how this testing. And then he was like, oh, okay. After that. So she's already done it with the LLC. So she's like, I'm converting to the nonprofit now because I need that money from him. But he won't pay her with the nonprofit, with the LLC. She has to go nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
So yeah.
It benefits him.
And so he was like, at first, like, I'm not paying anybody to go out the country. That's not a big deal to me. And I was like, okay.
All right, so let's take a few questions, Whitney. You got a second?
Yep, I do.
All right. So if you have a question, please unmute your phone.
I have a question.
Please state your name and the city you're from and ask your question to Miss Fagan.
My name is Annette Kathy. I'm from the city of Detroit. Okay, you said that you can get a grant written for real estate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so once you get that grant and start buying like properties or anything for the nonprofit, do you pretty much own that money, or does it go back to where you got the grant from?
No, it's your money.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so anytime that you get a grant, so like anytime you get a grant, it's yours. Now say, so like this is the thing. I'll tell you how I teach people. So this one girl, she said, well, I wanted to go get some money, but what's gonna happen next? Once you get the money, how I can say this that you understand. So once you get the money, it's yours. But if you go back and you're like, I need to get some more money next year, or like I want to go back next year and get the money, they'll be like, we just gave you $80,000. What did you do with it? You need to be able to kind of show them. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen people get money. I have a client, she's a daycare. She's about 10 minutes from my house. I just wrote her grant. She got about $50,000. She kept this is being honest, she kept like $25,000 of the money because she said, Whitney, I paid my own personal money out. And I said, you can keep it, that's fine. But don't ask them for no money next year because they're gonna ask you. I mean, she could show receipts of her own money that she spent, so that's fine. But she's been spending this money since the beginning of the year and like last year. So I was like, don't ask them for no more money. She was like, okay. Once you get the money, you don't have to show them. Some grants, like they'll ask you, if you ask them for another grant, that exact organization, they'll be like, we just gave you a grant. And they'll say, what do you need some money for? So a lot of times, no, they never say you need to give them back. That's not a loan, that's a loan. A grant, that's your money.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question, state your name and the city you're from.
Hey, what's up, Coach? This is Reggie from Detroit, Michigan. First of all, I want to say thank you. This has definitely been very, very informative. I have a two-part question. So one is, is it difficult to actually get your 501c3 status? And then my second question is, I had a nonprofit that we were registered, had our EIN, but we were like connected with the church, so we never got our 501c3 status. We started in 2004. It automatically dissolved here in Michigan in 2010. So would you say that I should reestablish that same nonprofit, or should I just start from scratch and start all over?
You want to start over. I tell people, don't go under anybody's stuff. And I say that because, like, if you go under anybody else's, like, say I got a grant today for $5,000 and it was under somebody else's, somebody's like, well, oh, you got this. People get in your business. So if it's yours, it's yours. You don't want and don't take this the wrong way, so I don't offend anybody, but a lot of times when people are under churches, they're asking you, where'd you get this from? And what is this for? They want to know, what is this for? Can we have this? What, you know what I mean? Like, they want to know about your money. It's under your nonprofit. That's your business. That's your money. You don't have to explain it. I would start over because it's old now. If it's dissolved in 2004, you said 2010, that was 10 years ago. You got to start it over.
Okay, thanks.
The first part of the question, Whitney, was how long does it take to get the 501c3?
So it takes.
Is it difficult to get that status, or?
No, it's not difficult. So what would yours be about? What would your 501 be about?
It was helping inner city youth with arts and entertainment, because they took a lot of that away in Michigan as far as the after school programming.
Oh yeah, no, that part, it takes normally, like, I don't know anybody else's process. My process is like 2 weeks, and then you file it with the IRS, and then you give them about 45 to like 60 days to approve it, and that's it.
Thank you. And then I guess one last question would be, how do we contact you as far as utilizing your services?
You're gonna get that information in a second after we answer all the questions.
I'll give you my information.
Thanks,
Next question, state your name and your question, please. Let's keep it moving.
They scared.
This is Brandy from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I wanted to know, what is the youngest age that you can start a nonprofit? Can teenagers or children have a nonprofit?
No, you have to be at least 18.
18?
Yeah, because they take you through like tax stuff. You know, you have to have an EIN and bank, you know, they make you get a bank account and everything eventually for it. So like, I have people who, when you do an application.
Can you list your child as a member?
Right, that was my next question.
Because they can be legally bound. But I do know, I've had somebody who their child turned 18 and they called and added them to their board. Like, you can do that. You can make changes to it, like, as it grows. Like, I have a friend in Texas. She makes wigs. She makes wigs and hair, sells hair. She sells them to the hospitals in Texas, to keep people who've lost their hair to cancer or any type of health. So the insurance and the hospitals are paying her. She's a nonprofit. She just tried to add her daughter. Her daughter just turned 18. So she just had to fax them a paper to add her. But when she first got the nonprofit, it's named after her daughter. But when she turned 18, she had to add her to the documents. But you can't add them until they're 18 because they're, you know, you're financially they're responsible. So no.
I got another, since you brought that up. Thank you so much. So your children could possibly be a beneficiary because
they can be a successor
of it.
They can be a success. They call it a successor.
Okay.
Of your nonprofit, but you would list that on there. Like, it's like a document, it's like a power of attorney thing. You fill it out and then you have somebody sign it. But a lot of people don't really do that. They just, later, if you ever like fill out like a will and testament or something, you could just fill it out and say, I would like this to go to my child and all that. But a lot of people don't really do that.
Because we got to remember that you don't own the nonprofit. The government owns it. So it's not like a business.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also board members included. But so you don't necessarily have like a share in the nonprofit. If you're a board, that's not the same thing as having a share?
No, so like I always tell people, this is how I tell people, your board is like in charge of, your board owns that nonprofit in a sense, basically. So like
they can take it from you. I've seen people, their board took the company from them, the nonprofit from them.
Yeah, but even there's one right now, there's a church right now, and there's the people in the church, and they're like, oh, they're not doing it right, and the money isn't. And I was like,
but that's based upon their bylaws. So my question,
they're making them look bad.
My question is, who writes the bylaws when you set up nonprofits? So like you doing mine,
I do it.
Okay, you do the bylaws. Yeah.
And I send it to people, and then they're like, oh, okay. It makes sense. You read it. But some people say, oh, I'm going to write my own. And then I'm like, why do you get to write your own? You don't get to write your own. I don't know. Some people want to write their own, but I don't think that they know what they're writing. I think that they just get on Google and think that they know what they're supposed to write, but no. So it's a big deal. But you really want to make sure that you kind of like educate yourself. A lot of people, they want them for the wrong reasons. But a lot of times, they're beneficial.
We have 10 more minutes. Anybody else have a question before
Yes, I do.
All right,
hi, Whitney. My name is Keisha. I'm from Detroit. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good, thanks. I have a question as far as the nonprofit. So as far as the employees go, I can employ one of my children as long as they have a job? What is it called? The thing they need to work. Yeah, I can have them as a staff member as long as they have like what is it called when they like 16 and they need the job permit? As long as they have that?
Yep.
Okay.
So
just
like,
wanted to make sure.
You gotta think. So like, I've done like people with like this Edna Martin Christian Center. They have a youth camp. They're a nonprofit. They have a youth camp in the summer. These kids, they're like 16. But at one point they were going to camp with my daughter. And I'm like, oh, now you work here? They're like, yeah, we get paid. I'm like, how much I get paid? Like $200 a week. I'm like, oh, okay. They get paid.
Yes.
Yeah, you can pay them.
Okay.
And they get their little 1099s at the end of the, the beginning of the year.
Okay, and then they have to be 18 just to be a board member. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have a question? Name and city. No question is a dumb question. Y'all, I teach y'all that all the time. Don't leave this meeting with a question.
I have a question.
Hey, Whitney, it's Tamika. I have a question about the W-2s versus 1099s. At what point is it safe to use 1099s versus W-2s for your employees under a nonprofit?
Why would you answer the phone?
Well, I would say, oh, somebody is talking, my bad. So, well, I would say, the only thing I tell people is who does your payroll?
Intuit.
So usually I tell people to ask their payroll people, and I only tell people this because anytime you're paying people over, they say it used to be, I want to say over $600 that you need to start giving them a W-2.
$600 annually or weekly or biweekly?
And they said anytime it was $600 annually, you need to pay them a W-2. That's what I was taught. So that's what I was taught, that anytime you pay them over $600, you have to W-2 them.
Got you.
But I have a lot of childcare people. Like one lady, she uses ADP, and she said that they told her that it was a way that she could do it. So she pays them W-2s. But yeah, I thought it was anything was over $600 annually. But you can look that up. Don't quote me because I'm not a tax consultant. I don't like that.
Next question, name and your city.
Tia Richardson from Indianapolis. I have a question for transitional housing. Do you have to already have the house started, or can you like rent out a house or own a house already?
Sometimes people rent houses, but a lot of times you really have to check. So like with the transitional housing, they go off of like the zoning. They want you to own it. You have to call them too. So like I know somebody, like I said, like tax exempt. So if I was to go and buy a house, and the house was $5,000 and I turned it into the transitional housing, they're going to come and they're going to inspect it and they would say, okay, go ahead. You have to just kind of see what they require. It varies based off of the state that you live in. But I have people who have houses and nobody's living in them. I have a friend, he's a photographer, and he said, my sister doesn't pay her rent on time. When her lease is up, I'm renewing it. I'm turning that into a transitional house. So, but he owns the house. He bought it from his grandma, but he's can make more money with it, turning it into a transitional house. You would just have to probably see like what the rules are. Certain places, they want you to, if you do like the transitional housing thing, that's like the win. Them making, like I said, $13,000 to $18,000 a month with 3 people living in a house. That's nuts. And they just need to be on the bus line somewhere. If they don't have cars, they can get to their appointments, school, whatever. They only got to stay 90 days.
So to kind of piggyback off of her question, so if you, based upon the grant, you would just read the grant to see if you already had to have the house or if you could use the grant money to start a house.
Yeah, you have to see, because sometimes they'll say you must already have the property. Some of them say don't say nothing. So if you already got a plan, they'll say send us the budget, send us a copy of your 501c3, and that's it. But so a lot of them already want you to have the property. But I know people who have that property, but they don't have any money. They're like, I got a house, but I don't have any money. I can't pay for anything. And that's what they're getting the grants for. So it's always depends.
So 2 more questions, then we're going to get Whitney's information. She is helping me. She is my nonprofit coach, and she's helping. She did already one educational one for me, and then we're doing another one. So I want to make sure that everybody has her information. If you need her, she's going to go over her special that she's given us if you join her program and let her set up your nonprofit. And then also she'll help you with your grants as well. So just make sure that, again, we should never use the excuse we don't have any help. When help is presented to us and people are coming to us, we got to find coaches and professionals in that area to help take us to the next dimension. 2 more questions.
I have another question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Fine. You're fine. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry.
I want to know, say like, God forbid if something happened like to someone that has a nonprofit organization, can that be left behind in like a living will, or do they have to, or does it just, you know?
It doesn't dissolve. There's on the application, it's like a power of attorney form and you fill it out.
Oh,
but it'll
okay.
be like, it says, I can't remember the wording exactly because it's like so many pages. It says basically like, this is who's in charge. This is my person, but it would be that's why I tell people like, think about the board members. Like me, my board members, and this sounds cruel, it wouldn't be anybody in my family because they don't really care about stuff like the stuff that I do. But I know it would be in good hands, like the people that I do pick. My friend, like I said, she's a tax expert. My other friend's a grant writer, but they care about stuff like I care about, so it would be in good hands. They would still do, they would still do right. They would still make money for the organization. They would be in charge of it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on here. And,
anytime.
And Coach will well coach too. I do.
I love you.
I've got one question.
Go for it. Name and city you're from.
Okay, I'm sorry I came in on the end of the meeting. I'm at work. My question is, I currently have a property management company. It's an LLC. I do have an EIN and a business bank account, and it's Urban Renewal Property Management. And we want to purchase blighted homes in Detroit and fix them up to sell. And I was wondering if we switched it over to a nonprofit, would the grants be willing to give money to purchase homes to fix up, to sell, to fix up blighted areas?
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let you answer. I'm not trying to take it over, but I did learn this from Whitney that you can have a for-profit and a nonprofit at the same time, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have clients that do both. So I got clients that have, like I have a lot of my clients right now, which I feel like, because they've been giving out so much money with COVID with the home health. I've done like 5 home health agencies converting to the nonprofit side. And I'm like, what happened that everybody woke up and wanted to convert their nonprofit to the 5? I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm like, everybody just decided to convert their 501s. So they're still doing their LLC side, but for some way, I guess with like the billing right now, if you're billing Medicare or Medicaid or something with a nonprofit, they're paying you double the money because of the nonprofits. So anytime it's like transportation, so like all these transportation companies, non-emergency, they're getting like double the money. And I'm like, dang. So all these people are
Look at Carlos. Look at Carlos looking.
The only reason my question is because it seems like we're having problems as far as getting grants to purchase homes under the LLC with the property management. So I was just wondering if we switch over to just a nonprofit, if it would be easier to get a grant.
Yeah, you have to remember. You said you just came in, so you was tardy for the party. But
yeah, I was at work. I was at work, so I just came in on the end.
But you have to remember, like I said, a lot of the grants that they're giving, any services able to grow the community is a grant available. So if you're thinking about homes, like a lady I was talking to, she lives in like, where does she? Oh, she lives in like New York or something. But she's buying properties. Her name is Deontay. She's buying homes. And she called them the slums. And I kept saying, what is a slum? She said, it's a low poverty area where we live, where my home, these homes are. So she's buying these houses and fixing them up. So she's getting economic development, economic awareness grants. So basically, like, she's trying to buy the block. She's trying to buy 3 houses. These houses are like $4,000 a piece. She's gonna fix them up and then rent them or something, make them affordable housing, affordable communities. So they might be, it could be, not saying Section 8, it could be something that is affordable to the community. So you're providing some type of need. I mean, you need nice housing, affordable housing in a, a low income area. So you can definitely get a grant. But I always tell people, like, if you switch to nonprofit and you do both, if you feel like it's more beneficial with the nonprofit side, still do your LLC. But I tell people, like, the nonprofit side, you might make more money doing one thing with the nonprofit, but you might do better with the LLC on something else. So like the girls doing the home health, I literally had probably 4 to 6 people doing it. They know what they've researched it, because I'm like, why are y'all doing this? They know why. They're billing Medicaid and Medicare for this, but then they're keeping it because of something else. So they know why they did it. Like this home, like, so that people, like I said, they research it. They know why they're doing it. But like these non-emergency transportation companies, they are paying out all this money right now. And I kept saying, what is this for? They're like, if you need like transportation to like your doctor's appointments and all that, it's a lot of money in that. So yeah, definitely I will stick to, doing that. But, if you're able to provide, help people and fix up some houses that are run down, or I would.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. It's just that, like I said, because of the pandemic, we're having a lot of trouble getting money, because to get grants, we are offered a lot of loans, but not grants. That's why I was wondering if maybe we went over to nonprofit, then maybe we could be able to get a grant a little easier to buy some homes and fix them up.
Yeah, they're giving out a lot of loans with the nonprofit, like the SBA. So like everybody's making these jokes. So like I'm always on like a SBA call, and there or something, and they were making the jokes like, I hope the world do shut back down so we can get some more grants. And I'm like, we already getting some grants, but it's more grants for the nonprofits right now than it is for small business. It's small business grants. You just have to look, but it's more for the nonprofit side because they're just more of a need. We're like, it's just more of a need.
Yeah, I've applied for several small business grants, but none of them ever came through so far as of yet. So that's why I'm just curious. Maybe I'll go over to nonprofit and just, maybe I'll do both. I don't know. I'm just lost at this point because I can't seem to get any grant money to purchase the homes because I'm registered with the Detroit Land Bank Authority, and I've went through a lot of auctions, but the bids are always higher than what I can afford. So if I could get some extra grant money to purchase a couple of homes. I just don't know the best route to go.
Oh, yes. Yes.
All right, so let's take the last question, and then we're gonna let Whitney go because she's giving us her time, and we are going to get her information. I suggest that any of you that want to start a nonprofit go through her. She is my first and last choice. Any more questions?
Anybody, who else got a question?
I got a question. Hello?
I'm here.
Hi, how you doing, Whitney? My name is
Hi, how are you?
Larisha. I'm great. I am from Los Angeles, living in Los Angeles, California. My question is, last year I wanted to like start this like housing for teenage girls phasing out of foster care with children. So with the help of like a friend I kind of knew about to navigate through like LegalZoom and things of that nature, I found it.
I can't hear you.
And I got my EIN now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hold on, let me fix these earphones. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Let me take these earphones off. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Why do you guys sound low? There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am so sorry. So yeah, so there I go. So yeah, I filed for the LLC. I got my EIN number. I set in my bank account, but I had some things happen to me personally that, just threw me all the way off of my focus and trail. So this was like last year. It's been a year since I established this LLC. Don't I have to start paying taxes on this eventually, or is it because I'm not operating, I don't have to pay taxes on it? I'm asking, like, am I out of compliance?
They'll send you something, I feel like, ask you, like, have you made any money or are you doing anything? I'm not for sure.
But you need to check with a tax professional. Whitney.
Yeah, because I'm not a tax professional. I don't know.
Whitney,
but I know one time.
You're talking about a for-profit, so she deals with nonprofits.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Any more questions before we get Whitney's information? And
Hi, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is Summer. I'm in LA right now, but I'm from Indy. And so I started a nonprofit a few months ago because I was going back home to Indiana. Then I'm not moving till March now. So am I in trouble for that? Because I did it through LegalZoom, but I didn't get to move. So I have the articles and everything established. I'm also an LLC and a sole proprietor. Like, I got a lot of businesses. And so I'm just concerned about, am I in trouble?
Did you file a 501c3?
Yes, ma'am.
With the IRS and already?
It's already, yes, ma'am.
No, you're not in trouble. I mean, have you made any profit, got any grants or any money?
No, but I did send out for a couple already, and just applied for a few already. But I wasn't able to move. My property that I was moving in wasn't going to be ready. But yeah, I was just concerned that I might be out of
No, you're not. No, you're fine. I know some people who get them and they, for like the first few months, they don't really do anything with them, but yeah.
Okay, and I'm also doing a group home thing. So I didn't even think about the nonprofit doing the group home because they said that the property that I would purchase would belong to the group home and not to myself. So I didn't know if I should do it that way. So I kind of did them separate, but it sounds like I should have put them together.
Yeah, you could call the IRS. They normally pick right up. Well, they've been kind of slow lately because they were closed. Their system was down for like a week. But sometimes you can call and kind of alter it and they'll let you if you
Okay.
really just want to focus on that. But sometimes people have like two, depending on what it is. Like if you have a daycare or like a church, you can't add to that. But if you have like something else, you can add to that or kind of alter it. It just depends on what your nonprofit is about.
Whitney, we're about to roll out of here. I want you to tell everyone what your rate is and what special you're giving us if anyone signs up with your program. I think that instead of us trying to figure stuff out along the way, we should find experts and professionals in that area to kind of make so that we don't have we don't stump our head down the road. All right.
Exactly.
We need a coach and a mentor in every area of our life, whether it's fitness, whether it's health and wellness, whether it's credit, whether it's business coaching, whether it's nonprofits, whatever the case may be. We need someone that we can depend on, whether it's taxes, whatever it is. We need a mentor or coach in those areas. So I recommend Whitney. I don't normally publicly come and say, hey, go with this person, but she is a woman of integrity. And I want to make sure that we support her and that I know that she will have y'all support. Many of you need grants. You might already have a nonprofit. She can help you. So we need to make sure that we use the resources that we have available instead of trying to figure it out along the way. So go ahead, Whitney.
Amen. Okay, so if anybody is interested in like nonprofit setup, I do set up the nonprofit. So let me tell y'all what that comes with. Because let me not say I don't know. I do know. My nonprofit setups, that comes with, excuse me, that comes with the articles of incorporation though. So that comes with like the paperwork and registering you with the business, registering you with the state, of course. So original, you would have to register in your state again. Your EIN, your DUNS number, your bylaws, your supplemental policies, your narrative description, and like a fundraising handbook. So basically everything you need, and then I prep the 501. So even you need a 501c3 for like your church, or if you need a 501c3 for like a youth program or real estate. One is 52 pages. One could be, depends on what you're doing. My normal rate is $800. I have a Black Friday deal I'm doing for $650. So that's my rate for Black Friday. I will honor it with you guys as a group, and I will honor with the group until the 30th of the month. That's the deal. So it doesn't go outside the group, please, nobody.
Can you put in the chat your information
I'll put my information in the chat. Somebody asked how much I charge for grants. My grant writing, it depends on the service, on the grant, because everybody's grants are different. You might not need a lot for the grant. So I don't want to say I charge $1,000 and it might not even be all that. So I would have to see it, and it's case by case. But you would have to look on my website, and then you can book a call with me or message me or something, and we'll figure it out. Like I said, strongly suggest that I do allow people, like I said, I do work with people as far as like help with their nonprofit. So once you set it up, people like to work with me because you're going to come back, because you're going to want me to find you some grants. And then you're going to want to, after you get some money, you're going to want me to help you stay in compliance. And then you're going to want me to tell you about the deals. And then you're going to want me to tell you about what you can do with and what you can't do, and how I'm going to keep you out of trouble. And so they always come back. So I think that's probably why it works with people. I make my services affordable because, like I always tell people, everybody wants to own a business. They just might not always be able to right in the beginning. So that's why I work with people as far as like if they need help, if they need a payment arrangement, or they need something, I'm that person. I'll let you set up a payment or however you need to do it. You just let me know. Yeah.
Everybody unmute your phone and repeat after me and say, Whitney.
Whitney.
We love you.
We love you. We love you. We love you.
Yeah, so I do. I love y'all too. So yeah, my website, I'll drop that too. And like I said, I do like different stuff. I have a class next Thursday.
We'll send out the information for your class.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a class, and I teach people how to create budgets so that you can like learn how to get budgets to get like grant money and things like that.
All right, let's check out of here, y'all. I need 5 people to tell us their truth. I'm gonna start out. The truth is, my nonprofit will help tens of thousands of people, and I will leave a legacy. And everybody that I touch will be affected by my life and by the words that I speak. And my nonprofit will start and will go for hundreds of years because of the heart that I have. Give me 3 more truths. The truth is. Truth is, come on, 3 people. Truth is.
The truth is.
Yes, come on.
I start a nonprofit. And I will be successful with the money team.
Yes.
Hey.
The truth is. 2 more people. The truth is, and then we got to go.
The truth is, my nonprofit will help rebuild the Black community where family is the center.
Yes, that's the foundation. That was the foundation of our community, family.
Absolutely.
We got to bring that back. The last person, the truth is.
The truth is, I would change my LLC, an emergency medical transportation provider, into a nonprofit organization and make double.
That's right.
All right, so thank you, Whitney, for your time.
Welcome.
As we know, time is the most precious commodity that a man could ever have. So we appreciate you for giving us the time and for taking the time to teach us. You could have charged us, but you didn't. So everybody say thank you to Whitney, and then we got to go.
Thank you, Whitney.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Whitney.
Thank you, Whitney.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch. Thank you.
See y'all. Bye-bye.